All right, what's going on? So, last but not least, part three of this anxiety mini series. We're going to talk about strategies for healing and prevention. So, in part one, we talked about how anxiety is a perfectly reasonable response to the insanity of the world. In part two, we talked about some of the causes of anxiety, specifically as rooted in childhood trauma and the cycle of avoidance. And now we're going to talk about what are some strategies we can use to heal from anxiety and or to prevent it from taking over our lives. So the first strategy is anti-anxiety medication. Benzodiazepines, SSRIs, bunch of different things that can help regulate brain chemistry and improve mood or reduce stress. I'm not totally against this, as the YouTube video says. Medication does provide some relief to some people. However, in mainstream Western culture, popping pills is kind of like the default solution to view it as a neurochemical issue. However, generally, this is not my approach, especially long term, because you grow tolerance and dependence on these drugs, and they mask the symptoms without addressing the root cause, which, as I mentioned, is often rooted in childhood experiences. On the other hand, there's also psychedelics, which I have found powerful for healing. They can help us access these traumatic experiences, do so with compassion, and rewire our brains so that we can create new stories regarding these experiences. Second form of treatment is just general lifestyle shifts. So things like getting enough sleep, being in nature, getting enough exercise, eating well, drinking water, reducing substance use. Now, these are all things that can help manage some of the symptoms of anxiety. Other complementary health techniques like meditation, yoga, breathwork, these are also helpful. As I mentioned, anxiety kind of becomes conditioned. Your body habituates itself to that way of feeling. And so we want to break this cycle, this muscle memory, by choosing to do something different. So for example, when you feel anxiety coming, a lot of times it's accompanied by shallow breathing. And so deliberately taking deep, slow breaths counteracts that. 4-7-8 is a popular one. Take 4 seconds to breathe in, hold for 7, breathe out for 8. Another technique is meditation. It helps us detach from our thoughts and observe our thoughts instead of just reacting. And we can observe when anxious thoughts come up and not attach to them. And over time, transform our stories. Negative visualization helps us just to feel a sense of calm. This is a practice from Stoicism where, like anxiety, you imagine the worst case scenario, but then you also imagine that how things are going to be okay. I don't have this written here, but I think spirituality or the ideas that accompany spirituality help things like falling in love with the present. Things happen for us. Every situation is an opportunity or a lesson. And really just taking responsibility and of whatever occurred to us and choosing more empowering stories. Psychotherapy is kind of part of this because we can think about and discuss or do different rituals that bring up past events, and again, process emotions and find gratitude and forgiveness. There's also exposure therapy, which is part of cognitive behavior therapy. So if you have a specific phobia or specific anxiety disorder, for example, social, you can gradually encounter things and be less afraid or be more courageous. I forgot which one it was. Simply talking to people works as well, just to let it out. Uh, One size doesn't fit all, as everything. Some people can do it on their own, some people require support. And exactly what stands in the way becomes the way, as I always say. You have to confront the dragon of chaos. If you look at anxiety in the eye, anxiety is like a bully. If you avoid him, you only get stronger. But if you face him, you'll back off. The terrible monster is also where we get our information. The terrible predator has the gold. So on the other side of confronting anxiety lies freedom. And again, if you need support with this, reach out to me, reach out to someone. You're not broken, you're a human, you have unmet needs, but you can overcome it. And you can get this book again for free. Reach out to me. All the work I do is donation based as well. So let me know if it's something I can help with. How to prevent it. Just like the strategies for healing, prevention is similar. Lifestyle habits, health strategies like breathwork, meditation, all of that. Having a social group, having someone to be able to talk about, or a group of people to talk about. They can share coping strategies, help you find meaning in life. For children and teenagers, there's different programs like suicide prevention, bullying prevention, all this stuff. Families go through something difficult or potentially traumatic. Family therapy is helpful. And lastly, it's just about gaining confidence. Like I mentioned, what stands in the way becomes the way. So if something is giving you anxiety, there's really only one path to overcoming it, and that's through confronting it. Researchers have found that people who do well are not necessarily any less anxious. They just confront it. And as you gain competence in life, your anxiety kind of becomes less and less of a deal. We all have very adaptable brains. We can all change our patterns. We can rewire our connections. And that is it. I have a book, The Integrated Masculine, that actually doesn't exist anymore. It's called The Fundamental Framework and The Ancestral Father. And again, reach out to me on Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is. I'm here to support. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. And best of luck to you out there.